What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the Stranglers and Anglers MMA podcast. I'm here with my co-host James. I'm JJ. Today we're going to be breaking down UFC 300. Crazy, man. We've been waiting for this a long time. Crazy that this is where
Happened.
the UFC is at. Yeah, huge card, man. How you doing, James?
Good, dude. Yeah, monster card. I am I'm not even arguably, honestly. I am more nervous and excited for the prelims and fights on the prelims than I think I am for the fights on the main card, which is insane to say, even though the main card is still amazing.
Totally. Yeah, I mean, just banger after banger on this card. It's an all one of the all-time greats. Yeah, dude, let's get right into it. Starting with the main event, we got Alex Pereira taking on Jamahal Hill in the 205-pound title fight. Jamal Hill, he never actually lost his belt. He just he was either
Or his knee?
vacated or he released it, right? Like,
Yeah. Yeah, it was.
yeah.
It was an injury and he had to vacate.
Yeah, exactly. And so it's cool that he's now fighting Alex Pereira, who we were just talking off camera before this, has had a historic run in the UFC. Just so much success in such little time against such high level competition. It's a really fascinating main event, James. Do you want to kick us off on this?
Yeah, well, first off, if Alex Pereira were to win this fight, Jamal Hill, he had to vacate due to injury, and Jiří had to vacate due to injury, which is what gave Jamal Hill. So if Pereira were to win, it would be like one of the most like you very rarely see when there's chaos in a division and a guy just
Yeah.
takes the step above everyone else to say, I'm the one. And that's kind of what would happen because Jamal Hill and Jiří were both like rightfully champions at the time. They both fought Glover. They both won. They both had really insane, impressive performances prior to that fight. You know, and for Pereira to just come in and avenge Glover on both those fights
It's
and
so
just
sick, dude. The
it's
the
insane.
Glover redemption run by Pereira is unreal.
It is. He just does it. Pereira just does it the right way too. He's not a big, huge talker. He shows up. His performances are all exciting because of his fight style. Um, he seems to have like one of the highest fight IQs I've ever seen. Like as far as knowing himself as a fighter, like rewatching the Jiří fight, Jiří taking him down and Pereira just fully accepting that he got taken down. And then when Jiří tried to advance position and land more ground and like harder ground and pound, then Pereira took advantage of that, got back up. He has amazing knees to the body in the clinch, which he showed in that fight. Jiří is great in the clinch. Jiří is a very good clinch fighter. And Pereira, when they were up against the fence, was getting the best of him there, which I think made Jiří a little less aggressive to wrestle. So it's just like his fight IQ and how he knows himself so well in the octagon, I think is crazy. That being said, Jamal Hill poses like a lot of interesting physical traits that they're just interesting to go up against a guy like Pereira. Like for instance, like being southpaw and like a long southpaw um takes away the Pereira leg kick a little bit, like the back leg kick at least.
Totally.
Then being long like Pereira likes to parry his hands out a lot, and that can leave him open at times to get hit. And and Hill, I don't, and Hill, I think is a little faster. I mean, he's faster. He's definitely a good step faster than Pereira is. Um, what'll be interesting is Hill, his stance, and this is what a lot of southpaws do. I see it all the time. They will get that bladed stance and box in it, not like a Wonder Boy where they're light on the feet and they're really evasive with it, but that you saw with McGregor against Poirier. They get in like that sort of bladed stance and they're just not used to rear leg kicks because they're not used to going up against southpaws.
Mm.
Well, Pereira's front leg kick that he throws, it's like a switch kick to the leg with his lead leg. that he does against guys who are in lefty stance that he did against Adesanya when he was in a lefty stance is vicious. And I don't think Hill realizes that at all. Like he certainly doesn't come across like he realizes it on the internet. And like there's a very good chance that that lead leg is gone by the first round because his stance is so tailor made to destroy. Like if you are a southpaw or if you have the kick that Pereira has to the lead leg. So I think that's going to be a huge factor as far as how the fight goes. So that's like technical. How the fight goes, I could easily see. I think I'm I think I'm going with Pereira. I think like the time off for Hill is a lot to make up for. I think similar to how Jiří lost to Pereira, like if they fought again, I might favor Jiří because he just, you know, is back in the mix. Like if he was more consistent, not coming off of injury. And yeah, I just think the injury, you know, plus the some of the technical things that I feel like Hill might be overlooking, I think that'll help Pereira out, and I think he'll get the dub.
Yeah, man, I get that. The leg kicks are going to be huge for Pereira. It's like like you said, guys aren't ready for that. I mean, look at Jan and Jiří. Like he turned like both those guys after a round they want to wrestle with fucking
Mm-hmm.
Pereira. It's those leg kicks are serious, man. And Jamahal with him being out for so long too, it just feels like that timing could be a little off, could take him a little longer to like, get a read on those leg kicks than usual. And with Pereira, it's like it takes just a couple of those.
Mm-hmm.
But with that said, James, I'm on the other side here. I'm on the hillside, man. The line right now, it's minus 130 Alex, plus 110 Jamahal. I think that Jamahal should be the favorite here. Because like aside from those leg kicks, I just think that Hill is better pretty much everywhere. I think, Hill is just as powerful, if not more powerful than Pereira. Dude hits like a truck, great boxing. I mean, he has all the grappling upside here, right? Over 5 rounds, especially too. I don't know, man. I just think that he might struggle a little bit early, but I think as this fight goes on over 5 rounds, I like Hill to land a lot more volume and to you know, probably land a big shot on Pereira and knock him out. I was looking at the prices on stuff like fight doesn't go the distance, but I mean, fight ends inside the distance is like minus 400 right now.
Mm-hmm.
So, people are expecting a finish one way or the other. I just think that Hill has proven that he's got a good chin, a really good skill set, is a tough night out for anybody, and can kind of hold his own in all areas of MMA, and decent IQ fighter as well. Um, yeah, with that said though, dude, like I love Pereira and Pereira winning. Like I'm not gonna be super sad about losing that bet. Like I love the Pereira run, and like we're saying, the Glover redemption arc is just like an all-time storyline. So
Yeah,
just it's a really good main event.
it is.
Yeah,
It's really like I feel like overlooked a little bit because the card is so big, and then you want it to be like capped off with like some McGregor Diaz trilogy or like some crazy, ridiculous fight. But
totally.
like as a fight, as like a true fight fan, and then you do get a pretty big pull with Pereira, and Hill has a little bit of a pull, you know. Um, so as a fight fan, it's a monster fight. Yeah, dude, I agree with you on Hill's boxing. That's one thing that I always question with Pereira is like his hands and, just his hands in general. And his defense against boxing. Like he
Yeah.
does get hit by like everyone he fights. So that's
Yeah.
definitely something to think about. But it's tough for me to like think that a guy is going to be able to go out there. Maybe Hill grapples him and it's real easy, but it's tough for me to think that a guy who's as accomplished as Pereira in kickboxing is going to go out there and like stand up with someone and not be used to like the shots and stuff he's going to get hit with. I don't know. So we'll see. Like
Yeah,
Adesanya, the only other guy who has an equivalent record to Pereira in kickboxing, or a better record actually, is the guy who knocked him out in the UFC.
sure.
So it's so interesting to see how this fight goes. But yeah, I totally agree with you as far as Jamal Hill's boxing and like I said, like the speed, the speed advantage is big.
Yeah, no doubt. Good fight. Closely lined for a reason. Maybe favorite looks like a huge favorite in hindsight, but should be a
Hmm.
fireworks fight, even if it takes a round or two for that to happen.
Hmm.
Um, cool, man. Moving along, we've got the co-main event of UFC 300. We've got a woman's 115-pound matchup. We got the champion Weili Zhang taking on the challenger Xiaonan Zhang. Um, James, really good fight, man. Like the Chinese versus Chinese champion fight is fucking awesome. It feels like it should
Hmm.
be taking place in China. I mean, what are we
Yeah,
doing
it does.
here? If like the UFC has had events there before, like I don't know. It seems like a big miss, but I guess timing is
Well,
everything.
I don't know the last time you've been to Vegas, but there'll be some tourists there.
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I
no
mean,
doubt, no
I
doubt.
went to a pool party in Vegas once, and I was like, bro, this is like Beijing. This
No,
is
yeah,
insane.
hell yeah, dude. Well, the fucking that's cool. That's cool. But yeah, man, I mean, good fight. I, Zhang, the champion, is a huge favorite here on the money line. She's minus 450 right now, up to minus like 550 at some other places. Yan plus 340, plus 375 range you could find at some spots as well. James, I sort of feel like the line is justified. It's maybe getting a little wide. It just
Hmm.
feels like Jan is a really tough fighter to deal with. I think on the feet for anyone. Like she's not like super athletic or fast or anything, but very technical and super accurate. The problem is, I mean, I think the game plan to beat her is like exactly what Zhang is gonna do, just taking her down and holding her down, beating the shit out of her. Kind of we saw it with Jan against Carla Esparza. Just huge grappling edge there. And I think that similarly, like Zhang is probably the most vitamined out woman's
Hmm.
fighter of all time, and she's just so strong and physical. I think that you know, um, she's gonna get this fight to the ground kind of whenever she wants to. Yeah, but I will say at the same time, like Jan, if she is able to stuff those takedowns, kind of it's not like it doesn't turn into a Manon Fiorot versus Aaron Blanchfield where the striking edge is like insanely different like
Hmm.
that, but it becomes a much closer fight. Especially if she could use her range a little bit. Yeah, the only thing I played Zhang by sub. I put a half unit at plus 600 just because if she's on top of her, beating the shit out of her, like Zhang's punches are going to be crazier than someone like Esparza's too. I could
Yeah.
see Jan looking for a way out and plus 600. I mean, I'm willing to take the shot there if Zhang's got that huge grappling upside.
Hmm.
I'm calling Zhang by rare naked choke is my official prediction.
Okay.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, I agree basically with everything you said. The I guess like the way that I could see, I'm just gonna say because I essentially agree with everything. So just to present a different point, I guess with Jean, m- if she's gets, I don't think she can avoid getting the takedown because Zhang is so strong and so athletic. And like you said, like Jean is like not super athletic. She's more of a technical striker. Like I think she's just one of those people who, no matter how much she works on her takedown defense, like it's not going to be elite ever. It could be
Yeah.
good. So it's going to be more about if she can just do little things like grind the elbows into the face, posture, keep Jean or Zhang Weili down with like the hand and like, just doing like and just rabbit punching and doing little like grimy things as she can scoot her way back to the fence or as she can throw up like a fake submission to try to get a sweep to get it back up on the feet. Um, she would have she could definitely she could definitely um like attempt submissions, get back up, and then if Zhang like if Zhang is like loses a little bit of energy, maybe that striking can come her way. But yeah, I mean, I think that Zhang Weili is also a very good striker and
Yeah,
has very
totally.
good hands. So I see it like her striking with Zhang, or how do you say her last name? What is it? I'm saying the same name 1,000 times.
Yan or Zhang? Like Zhang is Weili Zhang.
Zhang,
There's Weili Zhang.
Wiley Zhang, yeah,
Yeah,
Jan.
yeah,
Okay, yes. So when she gets back up, like that's her chance if Wally Zhang is a little bit, loses some energy. But yeah, I see Wally Zhang like put like the striking being like close, and I see Wally actually like landing a big shot, and then she just fakes the big overhand or something, and then shoots a double leg, and it's just whoop right down, and
yeah.
then the ground and pound is filthy from there on, and it, we'll see what happens. But I see this being like if it lasts more than like to like the fourth or fifth round, there's going to be a lot of toughness coming from Jan.
Yeah, totally. It's interesting too, like you said, like maybe that if Jan can starve off all the takedowns or scrambles, get back to her feet,
Hmm.
make Zhang do that a lot. You never know what that gas tank's gonna be like in the fourth and fifth round, you know?
Right.
So
Exactly.
yeah, interesting, man. And to her credit to the challenger, Jan, like she has really good volume and like
Yep.
decent power as well. You know what I
Hmm.
mean? So she's not super athletic, but she hits hard.
Hmm.
Yeah, interesting fight. I'm on the Zhang submission, rear naked choke. Let's go. Cool, man. Moving along, we've got the BMF title on the line. We've got Justin Gaethje taking on Max Holloway in a 155-pound matchup. Max Holloway coming up to 155. Man, what a fight, dude. What a fight.
Yep.
What do you think about this one?
I think that Max is being a little overlooked. I mean, I take Max as a favorite here. I don't know I think the odds are in favor of Gaethje right now. Oh,
Yeah,
minus one. Those are
Gaethje's
pretty.
minus 161. The best you can find him right now. Holloway plus 140-ish.
Yeah, man. Max is a no offense to Gaethje, but Max is a proven champion, and Gaethje has never been able to do that. And as much as we love Gaethje and he can compete and beat anybody, his
Mhm.
record is also not like this stand above all record. Like it's more like he's fighting the best in the world, but he's really like a couple fights above 500 when you think about it. Um, where Max has gone on like crazy streaks. Max has had time to bulk up a little bit, or just like really just get into like what's probably his natural body. He's not
Sure.
having to like constantly watch weight and stuff like that. So he'll have a lighter cut, but it's not going to be super easy. So he's 5'11". Him and Gaethje have like pretty similar reach. Um, they're not good.
He looks bigger too. You know what I
He
mean?
looks
Like if
bigger,
you've
yeah.
seen him in his videos over the last like month or two that he's been putting out, he looks noticeably bigger.
He does. And yeah, and then Max's cardio. I know Gaethje has toughness cardio where Max has like truly ridiculous cardio. Like he does not look like he's breathing heavy. Where Gaethje kind of looks like he's gonna die, and he just never goes away. There's like a big difference there. So, and Max is a really technical striker. So there's things like Max leaves himself open for leg kicks sometimes. That's gonna be tough against Justin Gaethje. Holloway will leave himself open for big strikes, or he'll stay in the pocket a little too long. Don't want to do that against Justin Gaethje, but I could see Holloway like jabbing and using some really creative striking. Like he has good back kick. He has amazing spinning back kicks. He has great high kicks. Like he's a kickboxer. Like he's a very well-rounded kickboxer. So I actually think Max will win this fight. I think he'll go to decision, and I think he'll win like three or four rounds to one or two.
Nice, dude. Yeah, that's awesome. I'm with you, dude. I bet on Max here too. I've had his bet up for like a week and a half, 2 weeks, but I got him at plus 190. So I got a good line on him. Yeah, dude. I mean, everything you said is spot on. And I just feel like volume wise, like if Max is still there, he's gonna take over late.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. Gaethje's super hittable himself. Like obviously he hits hard. But you know. Max's chin is gonna go one of these days. It
Yeah,
very well could be this fight.
that's what I'm
He's
thinking
taking a
too.
lot of
Like that,
damage, you know
this
what I
could be
mean?
it.
But
Yep.
historically, like Max is gonna eat some big shots, keep coming forward, and it's like I don't view Gaethje as like a striker in this like on Volk's level, like Gaethje's
Mhm.
good, right? But a lot of what makes him crazy, like a lot of what makes him effective is his like he strikes some weird angles. And like isn't necessarily super like isn't known for being super technical. He's obviously improved over the years now. Like people talk about his work with Trevor Whitman. He certainly has dialed it back a bit as far as being a madman,
Yeah.
but still that's kind of what makes him so effective. And I just think that like I don't know. I think Max, even at plus 150 or what is it right now, plus 140. I mean, that's like a 44% probability that he wins this fight. I think like that's about right. Maybe it's more like 50-50, but at the plus money, I really think that Holloway's the side. I think that it's more likely like Gaethje finishes him via leg kicks than it is by knocking him out. You know what I mean? The
Yeah.
leg kicks certainly scare me because we have seen like with Volk, like Max got fucked up. And
Hmm.
Gaethje has just baseball bat swings of leg kicks. But
Hmm.
yeah, man, I just think that Max probably weathers like the first round or two and takes over on volume.
Hmm.
I could see him finishing Gaethje late too.
Yeah. Yeah, I could definitely see it, and yeah, I'm very excited to see this fight because this one's like I think Max is gonna win, but this one is very much like I don't know what the hell is gonna happen, really. Like that's just sort of what I'm going. That's just sort of like my intuition and like just how I feel about it. But anything could happen in this fight.
Dude, honestly, credit to I got to give Justin Gaethje a little more credit because I used to talk a lot of crap about like him and Chandler and Poirier and how they wouldn't fight up and coming guys or like they were only fighting each other, interested in fighting each other.
Mhm.
Their weird triangle. It's like, but Gaethje is now, he fought
Fiziev.
Fiziev, got a ton of respect there. And now he's fighting Max when he could have just like probably sat out and got the next title shot against Islam. So I respect that a lot. Unreal fight, definitely worthy of the BMF title. You know what I mean?
Right. Very, very high potential that the winner of this fight, if McGregor were to come back and beat Michael Chandler, is McGregor's opponent after Michael Chandler.
Sure, man. I could see that for sure. History with both guys.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. Cool, man. Moving along. James, the fight I am most looking forward to on this card. We've got Charles Oliveira taking on Arman Tsarukyan in what like everybody pretty much views as a number one contender fight. If we're going by just, what's right and what's earned. This feels like the clearest number one contender fight in the sport. Who knows what ends up happening? Oliveira's been talking about McGregor and stuff. That
Mhm.
would be amazing. But James, man, what a fight here, dude. Charles Oliveira. Right now, you could find him some places still plus 190. Tsarukyan minus 225. What do you think about that?
Um, I think the odds are it's a 3-round fight, so it's like I think the odds are those are pretty accurate. I mean, it's a little high on Tsarukyan's side, I'd say, but Charles, you know, what I'm really afraid of in this fight because I think it has potential to be like one of the best fights of all time. I don't want it to be one of the fights of all time, as they say.
Sure.
Um, I'm afraid of like Charles kind of getting taken down by Tsarukyan and just playing that guard game for 3 rounds. Because Tsarukyan's takedowns are very good, like, and he's really fast. And that's like the type of guy. Oh man, this is my head's going all over the place now with this because it's like, God, if Oliveira like times up one of those takedowns, he'll just snatch his neck up and just take his head with him. So it's like such a hard. I think with all that plus money, it's kind of hard to go with Tsarukyan. I like bet with Tsarukyan, especially with how much of a proven winner like Charles has been over the last few. Like, God, it's hard to say. It's hard to say who's going to win that. I really don't have like a strong prediction or a strong way of how this fight's gonna go. I am just more worried about that whole take him down, and then Oliveira gets complacent with the guard game, especially in like rounds 2 and 3. In rounds 1, like they'll both have a ton of energy and there'll be, submissions going up and there'll be attempts to get back up. But if 2 and 3 are like later in the second round and then into the third round when energy starts dipping, Oliveira might be totally just shooting up crazy submissions and hoping they land. And Tsarukyan has very similar like ground style to the Dagestanis, where it's like once he gets you down, it's like very difficult to move. So
Yeah, no doubt. Not so much a submission threat, but he'll kill time on top of you, just
right.
get you up and scrambling with you. He's really great in the scrambles.
Hmm.
That fight with against him and Gamrot is one of the coolest fights ever. Just so many cool scrambles and grappling exchanges. I think we're gonna see some cool ones here too.
I hope so.
Yeah, I mean, just what a fight, dude. I took Oliveira small shot at plus 190. I think that's maybe a little wide here, especially in a 3-round fight. 5-round fight, I favor Armin. But I think the line makes more sense in a 5-round fight. 3-round fight, I think Oliveira is gonna be super dangerous early. And if Armin is playing that game on the ground with him for 3 rounds where he's just trying to kill time, it's like I don't think Charlie Olives is gonna get complacent anymore. I think the Islam fight, he kind of like people say he quit, but I mean Islam's just so good, dude. It's like and he is a legit submission threat. Arman doesn't feel like that. So if he's just on top of him, not like going through threatening submissions and just trying to kill time and land, rabbit punches, look like short, not super powerful punches. I think like Charlie could find something off his back. I really do. I think he's so dangerous. At plus 190, that's like 34% or so, 35% win probability. I think it should probably be more like similar to last fight, maybe like the plus 140, plus 130 range feels right. So I'm happy to take a shot here. And either way, like Armin is so goddamn talented, dude, and is young and on the rise and is on all the vitamins in the world.
Hmm.
If he wins, it's good for the division because he's a legit talent and maybe the best in the world. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And if Oliveira wins, it's great because we all love the guy. He's entertaining as fuck. He's a guy you want to root for. And who knows, maybe the McGregor Oliveira fight happens. You know what I mean?
Yeah, definitely. Real quick, I want to ask you, how do you think striking goes in that fight? Like, do you think they're going to strike, or do you think it's just going to get to grappling pretty fast? And
It reminds me in a sense of like Connor Khabib in the sense that I think Armin isn't a superior striker than Oliveira, but he is good. And when he starts wearing you down, then he can start landing more standing up.
yeah,
You know what I mean? And so I don't think there's going to be like this huge discrepancy. I expect Charles to be in his face though, like right away, like early,
hmm,
similar to the Beneil fight. Um, and that's where we're gonna see how Armand deals with that. Like that's where we're gonna see, is he comfortable striking or is he gonna go right for the grappling there? You know what I mean?
yeah.
Um,
God, that's so
Fascinating.
interesting because he is going to just charge him right in his face, and that's tough to deal with when you are a grappler who really leans on that grappling, because then you just want to get this guy out of the way. And not similar to the McGregor Habib fight, like, if you shoot just like because the guy's pressuring you and it happens to be Charles Oliveira, that could just be the fight.
Yeah, exactly.
Guillotines, back take, knee, anything. Like that's what he loves. Like he wants you to do
He's
that.
so dangerous, man.
Yeah, it is. It's crazy.
He sets traps well too. He's
Yeah.
just it's yeah,
See,
man.
this is why I say I'm like worried about it, because I'm like this has the potential, because these guys are so high level. It's like the potential of it. I just hope that it doesn't turn into like a hold them up against the fence type deal, or
Yeah, I hear you.
hold, yeah. But you're convincing me more and more that like maybe it's not even possible with this new version of Charles Oliveira, because he's just like the way he's decided to fight.
Yeah, yeah, it's like, yeah, I get what you're saying there for sure. It's that, even if I think Armin probably wins this fight. I just think, I think Charles Oliveira has a good shot. I'm willing to
Yeah,
take the underdog shot here.
right. Exactly.
Yeah, man, such a fucking cool fight.
It is.
James, a way less cool fight. Maybe the only not cool fight on this
Yeah.
card. We got Bo Nickal taking on Cody Brundage in the main card opener. I bet Brundage wins in round one plus 3,600, and I bet Nickal wins by sub in round two by plus 800. I mean, what this is what it is, dude. I mean, the fucking betting line is outrageous here, just like the money line. We're talking Bo Nickal minus 2,300, Brundage plus 1,200. Clear setup spot by the UFC. They want Nickal to run through this guy. Brundage, man, a little bit of a quitter, has had some super weird things happen in his UFC fights, has had some stupid wins, some stupid losses too in fights that he probably should have won. He just, I don't know, man. He obviously they kind of picked the bottom of the barrel for Bo Nickal here. It's my only reasoning for betting him in the second round by sub is because Brundage is a tough dude, strong guy, and we saw Nickal not necessarily have the cleanest takedown entries in some of his MMA fights, and like maybe like struggle a little bit more than we would have thought to get like some of the takedowns, but like
Yeah, he wasn't perfect.
exactly. That's
Yeah,
what I'm saying.
basically.
It's a huge stretch to be like, oh, we've seen him
Yeah.
struggle. No, it's just like he wasn't perfect. That's a much better way of putting it. And realistically, I think Nickal runs through him here, gets on the
Yeah.
ground, and either subs him or knocks him out.
Yeah. I mean, I would have been happy with a fighter of Cody Brundage's caliber, like in that way of the rankings, like where Brundage is at. Just not Cody Brundage. It's like, dude, you're putting up an all-time competitor. Forget like the wrestling pedigree and like just like Bo Nickal's ability to compete as in sports since he was a
Mhm.
kid versus a guy who has shown multiple times in the UFC that like he's like definitely questioned. And I think even Sean Strickland has been on record, because he'll call dudes out of like calling out Cody Brundage, saying like, bro, you either want to be a fighter or you don't. Saying like he's a really talented guy, but he's just one of
Yeah.
those guys who comes in the gym and every other day it's like, I don't know if I should be doing this, man. And it's like you're putting that guy up against a guy like Bo Nickal, who's just been competing and winning and knowing how to win. I think he's going to be a really high fight IQ fighter when we see him go up against like the best. I think Bo Nickal will be.
Mhm.
So I would have been happy with like a guy of Brundage's caliber, like because I don't think Bo Nickal needs to be thrown into like the heat of the division just yet.
Yeah.
Um, but just not Cody Brundage. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
The wrong mentality. It's like the two mentalities just is like one just swallows the other. That's basically what I'm getting to, and that's why the line and everything. But the Brundage by first round like knockout or whatever is that's fun to just throw
Yeah.
money on.
Fuck it.
It's
Yeah.
not like the guy's worthless as a fighter. Like he's still in the UFC. Like, and you can see some things that he does well, but it's just like the mentality thing is like, and I that's to me is the most important when it comes to these fights.
Yeah, I did just wins in round one because it's like he
Oh,
can
okay.
have a fluke knockout or he's just like Bo Nickel gets deep on a double and he jumps a gilly and he hits it,
Oh, yeah.
you know what I mean? I don't
Or
know.
Bo Nickel hurts his shoulder or
Yeah, it's
something.
it's
Yeah.
such a stupid bet, but like plus
Yeah,
3,600
you got to
to
do
be
it.
like his main win condition. It's like, I mean, fuck it. Yeah,
Yeah,
10 bucks.
exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Um, yeah, man. It's gonna be interesting when Nickel fights guys that can grapple. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Um, like Jacob Malkoon is the ultimate test for him. Like that's a good matchup to make, I think, if Nickel wins.
Yeah. If the UFC wants to do that, I don't know if they
No,
will.
yeah, no, that's me
Yeah.
saying me. I want to see it. UFC will probably keep him far away from Jacob
Yeah.
Malkoon. Yeah.
He's got a
Uh,
lot to learn on the jiu-jitsu side, most likely.
sure. James, dude, moving on. Alexander Rakić taking on Jiří Procházka. Jiří is your guy, dude. You gotta kick us off on this one.
Yeah. Yuri looks amazing and like as far as his shape and everything. Um, I like where the only thing that really worries me is Jiří not taking that much time off in between like the finish. But other than that, I think I don't know how bad of a knockout that was. Whereas like you see a lot of these other knockouts that happen, like when guys are flatline and then they come back fast. It's like that was a Mark Goddard knockout. Real quick, unmute. I think your
All
mic's
right.
muted.
Your
Yeah,
other guy, we'll talk about later, Bobby Green, is an example of like,
perfect
yeah.
example. Yeah, and yeah, you're right. We will talk about that one later. But yeah, Jiří. So like that wasn't that bad of a knockout where I don't know how much it's gonna affect him. Maybe it does. Maybe it doesn't.
Mhm.
I don't think it will, honestly. But yeah, dude, I think Jiří looks in amazing shape. I think he's gonna be really fast. Um, UFC did him no favors. Once you get into that mix with the top dogs, like it's tough. And for a guy like Jiří who has a really amazing pedigree outside the UFC,
Mhm.
it is still outside the UFC. It's the reason he fought Volkan and then he fought Reyes when Reyes was on a high, and then into Glover, and then he loses
Ancient
to
Glover. Yeah.
yeah,
Who's still
and then
tough
he
as fuck, but still ancient Glover.
ancient Glover, right?
Yeah.
And but then he loses to Pereira, and it's like now it's like Rakić is a very tough opponent, but Rakić, similar to Jiří, I mean, I could very easily, in fact, this is sort of how I see it going. The way that I feel like Jiří beats Alex Pereira 7 out of 10 times, right? With both full camps and they're both at their best. I think maybe we could see something similar happen in Yuri's favor in this fight because Rakić is coming off of a big injury. Also, I question Rakic's not his toughness so much, but just how he's gonna look when Jiří is as fast as him. Like because Rakić is lightning in that division, and he's technical and he's built like crazy. But Jiří, what I learned when he fought Alex Pereira is he is way faster than I thought he was. He's just long, so it doesn't look like as fast, because his movements are long, but
Yeah,
he's very
totally.
smooth, very fast. So I'm just interested to see how Rakic's mentality is when he's like getting hit back. I think the only way Rakić wins is like a huge bomb, like early in this fight.
Interesting.
I think if it gets to like the second-ish round or end of the first round, I think things start going towards Yuri's favor. But damn it, Jiří, I hope he learned because that guy, he just puts himself. He'll have a great game plan going and then just put himself in the fire because that's just what he knows to do. So we'll see with this fight. I'm leaning with Jiří from like the smart man betting side. Obviously I'm gonna pull for him like all the way as far as the fight goes.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, what are you thinking?
Yeah, man, interesting fight. Rakic's been off for such a long layoff. It's going to be interesting to see how he looks in there. I think it's going to be interesting to see how both guys look like physically because both dudes are guys notorious for looking like they're on all the vitamins in the world.
Yeah.
Jiří didn't look that much like that in his last fight. You know what I mean?
No.
Like
Yeah.
compared to other times. So it's like who knows what nuclear fuel these guys are going to be on, but if they both come in there like juice to the gills like we're all hoping for, it could be a fucking awesome 3 round war. um both guys pretty durable. Rakić, like, has some finishes early in his career, but hasn't really put away the top UFC competition that he's faced. um yeah, I'm leaning towards Rakić on this one. I hate Rakić too, man. I really do. He's not a guy I like rooting for, but I
Yeah.
think I'm leaning towards him as being the side here. I think Yuri's gonna have a hard time, closing that distance, even with his long ass reach. And I think Rakić has a lot of grappling upside here too, if I'm being honest. Like, even if it's just like bullshit, spending 2.5 minutes trying to get him down or holding him up against the cage a little bit, or gets him down to the ground for like 30 seconds, and then Jiří gets back up, but Rakić has a body lock on him still. I just think that he's gonna the volume and control time is gonna add up over 3 rounds for Rakić. And I just think he's gonna win by decision here.
Well, you know what I'll say is this fight totally will show like Yuri is Yuri gonna be like a see as a fan, like I am here for the ride just to see how it goes because I believe in his like philosophy on life, sort of. And is Yuri going to be the guy who's like he won the title, he deserved it, right? He came in, he beat the guys in front of him. Um, and you know, then he went and beat the champion, like,
Yeah,
and he submitted Glover Teixeira, which is crazy.
that was one of the
It's
craziest
insane.
finishes of all time.
Yeah, and he deserved it. He won the championship, but now is he going to be like a fun fighter who kind of hovers in that top 15, maybe even drops out of it for a second, comes back in, beats some really good guys, loses to some really good guys, and that's kind of going to be what he is, and maybe
Yeah,
comes back for another title run. If he is the elite fight, like an elite fighter, I think that there's nothing that Rakić will be able to do, like as far as like especially in the grappling. I think that if Yuri is as good as I potentially think he is, right? But I really do, I still don't know. Because he is so damn wide open. It's just really hard to like commit to a fighter like that and
mhm.
say he's this good. But if he I think that Rakić could take him down and be like, I regret this very much. Like, I think he
Interesting.
gets
Yeah,
reversed and, you know, ground and pound, and Yuri's ground and pound, maybe even from bottom if he can get into guard. I think Yuri has a triangle choke up his sleeve that he hasn't really shown. He's shown it a little bit, and I'm like, damn, that was pretty close. So I don't know. I'm so
if
very
he
interested in
triangle
this.
chokes Ivan Drago here, that'd be fucking the coolest shit ever.
so
So sick.
so we'll see what happens, but
Yeah. Well, dude,
Yuri's got that warrior.
you brought up a great point about like kind of this will tell like it's like does Yuri stay in this perennial contender spot if he like gets this win here, or does he start to become like that stepping stone to where they continually keep testing guys against him, and if he wins like 3 or 4 in a row, then he finds himself back in a title picture thing,
Right.
you
That's kind of
know?
what
Yeah.
this fight I feel like is gonna like put him in that category, you know.
I agree. I agree.
But
Awesome,
we'll
like
see.
awesome fight though.
Yeah.
Yeah, and like the other thing I'll say too is that I think that the UFC really likes like both of these guys, and I think that they see like the benefit here is like Rakić could be a champion, honestly. Wow, and you can market that scary Russian dude. While Yuri, we know how his fights go. He's exciting as fuck, and he's a
Mhm.
wild man and is entertaining inside and outside of the cage. So cool fight. Rooting for Yuri. My bank account's rooting for Rakić.
I feel you.
Yeah. Oh man, James, what a fight we've got here. 145-pound fight. We got
Oh,
Cal. What's up?
no, no, this fight is it is
Oh
such a
yeah,
badass fight.
sorry. I thought I was skipping one or something, but yeah, no. 145-pound matchup. We got Calvin Kattar taking on Aljamain Sterling. Man, Calvin Kattar coming off of a long injury layoff. Aljamain Sterling making his 145-pound debut, coming off that loss where he lost his title against Sugar Sean O'Malley. James, kick us off on this one, man.
So you know I want to go with Calvin Cater here. Um that injury just it I think Calvin Cater, if he fights Aljamain Sterling without that injury happening, I am like 80-20 Calvin Cater in this fight. But with that injury happening, and then with all the time off, and then having to get back in the gym, and then rehab, and like all sorts of things, and training's going to change a lot for Cater because of that injury.
Sure.
Um, it's really hard for me to believe like he's going to have. One thing about Cater is his takedown defense is incredible. Like, you know, how much is that going to be affected when you blow out your knee? You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Because he had amazing like he has great first step quickness, and that's why he's hard to get taken down because he doesn't look that fast like on the feet, but he's very that's where that punching power comes from, and that's where that takedown defense comes from, is that initial burst that Cater can have. Otherwise, he's not like a super fast, quick guy. He's more smooth, I guess you could say. Um Aljo, And I can see if Aljo can get a takedown or two, it being like opening up Aljo's striking. Like I think Sugar Sean, because he's like because of the way that he is, people just still disrespect him like online and stuff like that. It's crazy to me. Even after the Cheeto fight, he still gets a bunch of shit like Marab's gonna eat you
Yeah,
alive, blah blah
sure.
blah. And it's like, I think you're gonna see how hard it is to truly like step back and snipe a champion right in the face and then win the world title that way. Like Calvin Kattar has as clean of hands and he probably hits harder than Sean O'Malley does, being a weight class above and all that. I think you're going to just see that it's not as easy to just be that much of a better striker than a guy. So I could see if Aljo can threaten the takedown a little bit, I could see that opening up his bullshit volume strikes against Kattar
Yeah.
and that kind of winning him the round. Do you know what I mean? I think we're going to see good old fashioned Aljo fighting like Aljo does, and just it wins the round and it just pisses you off. Hope it doesn't happen. Hope Calvin Kattar snipes that right hand right down the middle, and it's just game over. And Aljo is like feels like moving to 145 was the dumbest decision of his life. Hope that's what happens. But I think I favor Aljo a little bit in this fight.
Yeah, fair enough, dude. I'm on the other side. I'm on the Cater side, and I think the line isn't the same. Like he's a plus 140-ish underdog right now at spots. It's not the same as in the Giga fight. Like he was an even bigger underdog there, and I
Yeah.
thought he was the favorite. I didn't understand the line. Kind of the same boat here. I think Cater should be the favorite. I think he's probably the underdog because of what you're saying, that knee injury and him being 36 now. Um, Absolutely concerning. But like with that said, I mean, Aljo's 34 or 35 himself, making his debut up at 145 against a guy who like fucking hits hard, dude. And like has a lot of decision wins, in his career, but
Mhm.
against a guy in Calvin Kattar who also has some awesome finishes, you know what I mean? He hits hard, and like we've seen Aljo get knocked out at 135 like several times, he doesn't necessarily have the best chin, I don't think. So
You know what, JJ? Give me 1 second.
yeah, no doubt, no
Give me
doubt.
one.
I'll keep rambling on a little bit while James is out of the equation here. But I mean, we've seen Aljo like, Sugar Sean O'Malley, Marlon Moraes. We saw Jan land big, but like those are all, in all his other fights, Aljo just fucking gets that control time, and backpacks people for rounds and wears them down. And I'm just like, against a guy like Cater's going to be big in there himself at 145. We know Aljo's ripped, but I just think Cater's going to be bigger. I think Cater is probably used to, you know, guys trying to do what Aljo's going to do. And Cater's just proven that his defensive grappling is really good. And on top of that, he pushes a pace and has a good gas tank of his own. So I'm on Cater here. I got a couple units on him. I really think that the layoff is the reason why this line is the way it is. And who knows, maybe I'm wrong. Like maybe Aljamain is gonna be able to do his thing and gets in on Cater, or like, gets a body triangle even when they're standing and just rides out the entire round in that body triangle. That's
Mhm.
Aljo's thing. Whether it's on the ground or just he's hanging on the other dude.
Right.
Yeah,
Yeah,
but
dude.
I just think Cater is a high enough level to maybe that happens for a round, you know what I mean? But I just expect him to start landing more volume on Aljo and find an Aljo. And I will say I think Aljo could have some success with his bullshit leg kicks and then circling around the outside, just more Aljo things. I do see that, like,
Yeah.
those could add up as far as volume goes against a guy like Cater who,
Yeah.
that boxing stance.
We'll see. It's very interesting matchup. Yet another fight where you just have no idea what's really going to happen. Also, is Aljo going to look strong in grappling up a weight class? That'll be an interesting.
Yeah, dude. That's kind of what I'm saying. That's where I'm like Aljo. We know he's fucking jacked, and we know that his frame at 135 like looks outrageous. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But who knows if he's gonna look that big at 145? You know what I mean? I don't know. I'm surprised Cater's the underdog here, and I'm willing to go back to the well with my boy Calvin.
Yeah, good, dude.
Cartel, dude, New England Cartel.
I hope so. I'm definitely rooting for him. Probably will end up betting on him too, just because I bet on the guys that I like.
Dude, and I think the UFC likes Cater more than they like Aljo. Like Aljo has bullshit fights, like he didn't fight Marab, and that pissed the UFC off. Cater is in exciting fights, and he has the kind of style that like the UFC wants in their fighters. You know what I mean? He's not
Very
looking
true.
to get the takedown in like 9 out of 10 fights. You know what I mean? And then
Yeah.
when he does, like against a guy like Giga, he makes it work.
Mm-hmm.
He's just like in not he's like not boring.
Mm-hmm.
He's the fighter the UFC wants, and I think that they're hoping that he knocks out Aljo here.
Yeah.
I think we're all
Also cool because it's Boston and the New Jersey thing and like all
so
that.
cool. Yeah.
Yep.
Cool, man. Moving along. Oh boy, we got a 135-pound matchup. We got Holly Holm taking on Kayla Harrison. Kayla Harrison making her UFC debut here. James, any strong thoughts on this one?
Not really strong thoughts, honestly. 10-year age difference almost. I guess I gotta go with Kayla Harrison.
Yeah.
Um Holly Holm like 4 years ago, 3 years ago, I think wins. But yeah, I gotta go with Kayla Harrison here. It's a big name to like hype up Kayla Harrison's name. Holly Holm still has a big name in the women's divisions, but she's like not as good as she was. She's still very good for her age, but just not
Yeah.
as good as she once was. And Harrison, I don't know how Holly Holm's going to fare against somebody who can take her down consistently, and I think Harrison will be able to do that. However, the old Holly Holm leg kick, I hope, comes out to play in this fight and just puts an end to all the Kayla Harrison cringe trash talk.
Yeah, that would be fucking awesome, dude. Kayla Harrison is not like a fun personality, in my opinion. I don't know. So I bet Holly Holm here. I did half unit at plus 340, like 20% probability, about like 22%.
Mhm.
I just think that like stylistically, obviously it could be a nightmare for Holly, but like Holly's pretty big in there. And she makes the weight like it feels like easily, you know what I mean? At 135. Obviously, Kayla is fucking big because she's always fought at 155 and 145 in the PFL, but
Mhm.
she struggles to make weight at those, dude. Like, how the fuck is she gonna make 135 pounds here?
No idea.
And if she does make it, how compromised is she gonna be? Like, is it gonna be a scenario where, okay, she's compromised, she makes the weight, but really strains her body doing it? She Benoit Saint Denis, right, where she has one round of crazy grappling, in them,
Mhm.
crazy pace, crazy grappling, and then it's gone, and then Holly can take over. That's kind of like what my gut feeling tells me is going to happen here. I just not like we haven't seen Harrison in the UFC, but we know her skill set and we know that like it's probably the weakness of Holly. At the same time, we've seen Holly pull off the underdog in some awesome situations and still fight at a high UFC level. I mean, I think Holly's the side here, especially when we don't know anything about Harrison at 135. She can not make weight and this fight gets pulled. You know what I mean?
Right, right. I mean, very true. Like, I, it's almost like seems impossible for her to make that weight. So I don't know what the plan is, but we'll see. We'll see. And then we'll also see how big she looks as
Yeah.
compared to Holly Holm too. Like, I feel like Holly Holm is huge.
Yeah,
So
man.
I feel like even with all this weight differential, I feel like they're going to be the same size. But I don't know if Kayla Harrison looks that much bigger. That would be kind of be crazy.
Yeah, I mean, I like thickness, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like for sure, she's a fucking tank. So she's gonna look, but yeah, like I said, make coming to 135, that we just don't know how she's gonna look physically or like physically on fight night, how she's gonna
Mhm.
perform. So give me the underdog, Holly Holm here.
That's a good bet. I'll definitely throw some money on that because
Yeah,
yeah, that's such a
fuck
big
it.
X factor.
Yeah. Cool, man. Moving along, we got Sodiq Yusuff taking on Diego Lopes, 145-pound matchup. Really good fight here. Diego Lopes a minus 140 favorite, Yusuff plus 120. James, I'm leaning toward the Yusuff side. I don't have a bet or anything here. 3 round fight. We saw Yusuff like almost finish Barboza in that first round of their fight. And then he kind of fell apart. He like gassed out in that fight. I think he probably learned a lot from that experience. Um, and he's going against a guy in Diego Lopes, who, I mean, if the fight stays striking, like Lopes is powerful, throws like dangerous, explosive strikes, but Yusuff is a much more technical fighter.
Mhm.
And I think he could piece him up here. When it gets to the ground, Lopes, awesome jujitsu, like really aggressive ground game, great in the scrambles, but not necessarily the best like takedown artist. You know what I mean? So yeah, I don't know. I think Yusuff is the side here. With that being said, I mean, I think the UFC likes both of these guys again. Like, you don't try to put someone in the main event against Barbosa if you're not trying to build him up. That's what happened to Yusuff. And with Lopes, like he's came out, he took that short notice fight against Evlov and he lost, but it was a crazy fight and he's never looked back, right? Like he
Yep.
keeps showing up and winning. So really fun fight. What do you think, man?
I'm super hyped for this fight. It's like kind of the prospect eliminator fight, at least for right now, just to see who they're gonna like throw to the dogs. I think whoever wins this
Yeah,
fight gets thrown to the dogs next.
agree.
I think
Big
I
fight
think they
next.
might yeah, I think they might be hoping it's Diego Lopes because of
Yeah.
um he's kind of like a 45 version of Charlie Oliveira, and
He has that style, one of the styles they're looking for, you
he
know?
does,
Yeah.
people love that style. Finish from anywhere,
Yep.
aggressive. So he's got the crazy haircut. It's amazing. It's
Yeah.
amazing how he's turned that haircut into a badass haircut. I don't know how he did it, but he has. And but yeah, it's Yusuff, technical stand up, also very powerful, strong takedown defense, like strong grappler as well. Like when it gets to grappling, no, I'm not maybe not strong as far as like I mean just like a strong guy basically is what like
Yeah.
just
No, totally.
physically an
Totally.
imposing guy at 45. Um, I'll I kind of am leaning with Yusuff as well, but it's like how many times do I have to go against Diego Lopes or like question him
Sure.
before
Fair.
it's like,
Super fair,
before
right?
it's like you gotta just so I'm rooting for him. I loved him after the first fight I saw him fight. So definitely rooting for him. Betting wise, yeah, I would have to like go towards Sodiq Yusuff, but also like betting on like a submission or a finish bet for Diego Lopes, I think would be a good bet as well.
Yeah. Yeah, that's fair. I might not take the money line on Yusuff. I might if I'm looking for a way to play it. I think like decision is plus like 250, plus 275. I might play that instead of the money line, but who knows? But if I'll even play it at all. But I think Yusuff is the side here if you're looking
Yeah.
at from a betting perspective. Um, cool, man. Moving on. Very interesting fight here. We got Jalin the Tarantula Turner taking on Renato Moicano. 155-pound matchup. James, Moicano want money.
Hmm.
So Moicano got to take really tough fights, to get to that spot. Man, I mean, I think it's a tough matchup for him. Obviously, he
Yeah.
has a lot of grappling upside if he takes the back, like so Moicano does. But I mean, Turner's a decent defensive grappler. Um, should pick him apart on the feet, I think.
Yeah.
I will. The one thing I'll say is that the I've seen so many people on Turner just on social media and stuff throughout the week, and the line isn't moving as much as like I kind of thought it would be. Like it looks like it's moving in the opposite direction in a lot of books, honestly. Because I
Hmm.
thought I saw that he was up to like a minus 275 favorite at one point, but I mean now I'm seeing like minus 225 at bet MGM. 250 on Caesar. Yeah, so people like there's money coming in on Moicano for sure. That's like keeping that line where it is. So
Hmm.
when scenarios like that happen where the all the public is like pretty open about being on one side, always hesitant to like back it from a betting angle.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm big on Jalin Turner in this fight. However, it's like Moicano did look amazing. I don't know, it's just too much all this time off. Yeah, Turner is just that guy where I like watch him fight and I'm like, dude, if this guy doesn't become a champion, like I don't even know how it's possible. If he can continuously make 55.
Yeah,
Uh,
that's a big if too. Is like
yeah,
he looked like he had a horrible weight cut against Dan Hooker, and he did not look great in that fight.
yeah, yeah. So that's a big if. I don't know. Jalen Turner's hard to tell because he's like so young, so you don't want to like put too much on him when he loses. But now he's kind of entering that territory where it's like now you're kind of like entering your prime, I guess you could say. And yeah, I just think he's like an unbelievably talented fighter. And Moicano is a little older, which is why he's calling for the money. Because it's like the time in his career. It's just like a really tough fight for him, like finding that range and trying to
Yeah.
get that takedown. I feel like Jalen Turner's way quicker than he is with that length advantage. Um, so yeah, he's Moicano is gonna have to be really if Moicano like pulls off a submission, insanity, dude, absolute insanity, because he's gonna have to be really crafty to get to that back.
I think that's like if he gets, yeah, you know what I mean? I think that if he wins the fight, it's probably
Hmm.
like by submission. Like maybe people view it like they think the decision's more likely, like they think he's not going to finish Turner with a lot of if he has a lot of control time. But I think that if he has a lot of extended control time, or even just gets the back early, you know what I
Yeah,
mean? I think he's probably more likely to finish it than to win by a decision. Yeah, it's interesting, man. Interesting fight.
it is. That's a great fight though, and that's early on in the card.
It's another one where it feels like, the UFC probably wants Turner to win and add another kind of big name to his resume so they can build him up. But they've been high on Renato Moicano forever. He's had
Hmm.
huge fights and fought really tough dudes. So fun
Hmm.
fight, man. Good, a UFC 300 worthy fight for sure.
Definitely.
This next one, maybe not so much, James. Jessica Andrade taking on Marina Rodriguez, 115 pounds. Um, Jessica Andrade right now is a minus 125 favorite. Marina Rodriguez, you can find plus 115 underdog, even though it opened at like minus 115, minus 120. James, any strong opinions on this one?
Nothing too crazy. I think that Andrade, when she goes up against like volume-ish strikers, like she's really good at like time once she kind of feels like you can't hurt her, she's really good at timing and just blitzing people with hooks, those wild hooks she throws and
Yeah,
landing.
totally.
So that's kind of how I see this fight going. Unless Rodriguez can get her down, maybe. I don't know. Like, but I don't view Rodriguez like physically imposing enough to get Jessica Andrade down and like keep her down. Like, yeah, Andrade struggles when she gets taken down a little bit, but like she's not a slouch, by any means on the ground. It's just against the top of the food chain.
Yeah,
So I think Andrade
sure.
actually could get a finish here. I think that'd be a good little bet is betting on a KO. Just I don't know what the line would be, but betting on a KO for Andrade would be a good one.
Yeah, I think if you're playing on Draj, I would play the in the distance or by KO for sure.
Hmm.
She, um, Andrade in the distance is plus 200. It looks like.
That's a great bet.
Yeah, I tend to lean to the Marina side here. I put a little bet in on her, and I got reverse line movement, so that sucks. But like the thing with Marina, like we saw it with the Amanda Lemos fight where she got knocked out. I guess you could say that like that's kind of what Andrade's path to victory is probably not like out voluming Marina. It's probably, more of a knockout big shot type of thing. But like, I don't know, man. Marina is gonna be really big here. Lemos was a southpaw too, and bigger than Andrade. And like, I just think Marina's going to be able to use her reach. I think it's going to look like similar to the Yan fight or Yan Xiaonan fight against Andrade, where Andrade just couldn't really find Yan. And
Hmm.
I don't think necessarily Marina's going to knock out Andrade because I don't think she has the power that Yan Xiaonan does. But I just think that she's going to land a lot cleaner on Andrade, and Andrade is going to land on her. Um, and Andrade is going to really have to close that distance. And I think, like I said, I think find the finish compared to Marina. I think, as long as she doesn't get caught with a nuclear bomb, I think that she's going to be okay here.
Hmm. Yeah, I mean, we'll see with that. I don't know. I'm just not a huge believer in Marina Rodriguez for some reason. Just
Yeah.
that's just my opinion. But yeah, Andrade, a lot of wear and tear as well to like side with you if I were to go with that. So we'll see what happens in that fight. But like you said, like it's not the fight. Like we're not. This is could be the P break fight, honestly.
Yeah, sure. Well, yeah, it's like the third fight of the card, so it'll be the
Right.
first one. Then you could time Holly Holm versus Kayla Harrison, and a few later. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah.
Uh,
Definitely.
no disrespect to the ladies. We love the ladies. Cool, man. James, Bobby Green versus Jim Miller. You gotta kick us off on this one. Bobby Green's your guy.
I think that Bobby Green of old just I think he tears apart, not even of old, of like 2 years ago, just tears right through Jim Miller, just pieces him up, doesn't get hit, stays on the outside. I think Miller's game plan is going to be really smart. He's going to attack legs. He's going to try to blitz in and throw big overhands. And I could see him getting the knockout. He's 2-0 on 100 and 200. And I could see him. There's just no way after the Drew Dober fight and after the Jalen Turner fight that Bobby Green is just good to go.
Dude, the Turner fight was 4 months ago, and that was one of the
Yeah,
worst knockouts like you'll ever see, truthfully.
right.
Mainly because like how long after he's
Yes.
already knocked out for, I mean, that's like serious brain damage. And that was 4 months ago.
Mhm.
And I mean, Jim Miller, like, not the most prolific striker by any means, but
Has
the dude
power.
hits hard, dude.
Yeah.
Yeah, he fucking hits like a truck. So I'm with you. I mean, at the underdog, I think he's like plus 150. I'm thinking about taking a shot on Jim Miller here, but
Right.
I
Would
agree with you. Like prime Bobby Green, I think keeps this fight standing and just pieces up Miller.
Mhm. Yeah, I mean, and that could still happen, because
Sure,
Green
sure.
is so good at avoiding the big shot, especially when he has like a good like athleticism advantage that Jim Miller may not even ever be able to come close to landing the big shot. But it's just like if he does, I feel like anything is just gonna and Bobby Green also got knocked down in the Tony Ferguson fight. So it's like, and he's fought 100 times. It's like, dude,
Yeah.
I think his chin is like there now. But I'm
Dude,
rooting for him.
yeah, Jim Miller has the perfect style of fighter to like be good when you're 40. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Doesn't rely on athleticism at all, but he's still always like durable, well-rounded, and like um
freakishly
has so much
strong.
has so much experience now that he can do things to the like younger guy. Like we saw that fight with Alex Hernandez was so close, like almost. But that shit like that, shit against Gabriel Benitez, Jesse Butler, fights like
Mhm.
those where like we see that this dude's style is still like effective.
Mhm. Yeah, he's got the
Um,
old man. He's like the old man at the YMCA who like posts you up and shit.
1000%, great
Yeah.
comparison. Yeah, like you said, he's been on the only fighter be on UFC 100, 200, and now fingers crossed nothing falls through but 300.
Right.
Cool, man. Last fight we'll talk about, dude. The fight that's kicking off the card. Davison Figueiredo versus Cody Garbrandt. I mean, this is one of the best fights on the card,
It
honestly.
is.
Like
It is.
absolute fireworks. James, what do you think about this one?
Well, I love that it gives Cody Garbrandt a chance to get back in the mix there. I
Love
just
it.
love
Yeah.
that. The guy's had just such a ridiculously like up and down career, a lot of downs. You can't say that he hasn't had a lot of ups though. He had only ups early on in his career. Um, so yeah, I love that it gives him the chance to get back in. I think for Figueredo just like gives him the old Marge Simpson uppercut and just leaves him in the dust. But I hope it doesn't happen. And Cody looked really good and he looked like himself in his last fight. It looks like after all those knockouts and the Dillashaw losses and then the Pedro Munoz knockout for Garbrandt, it just seems like he like lost himself as a fighter, even though he beat a Sun Sal, but then he went up against Rob Font with the same game plan.
Yeah.
And he's just circling as he's getting jabbed in the face because he's trying to stick to this game plan the whole time. And it's like, but bro, like we all know that every time you get hit, you just want to charge and make it a brawl. Like maybe you should be doing that because you're down 4 rounds to nothing or whatever, you know?
Yeah.
Um, so it's just like he hasn't really been able to figure out who he is in the octagon for the longest time. But in his last fight, it looked like he had a good balance, if you know what I'm saying.
Yeah,
But
sure.
the wear and tear on the chin, you're going against Davidson Figueiredo, who he does not hit lightly. So I got Figueiredo in the brain. I got Cody Garbrandt in the heart.
Yeah, I'm pretty much with you. I'll say this, Figgy is super hittable himself too at
Yeah,
times, and we've just seen him be pretty durable. But I don't know if he's necessarily, eating a shot from a clean shot from guy who does hit as hard as Garbrandt. I'll say this, like I would get people like I wouldn't parlay Figueiredo, like even if he comes out and just nukes Cody in 10 seconds. Cody could just as easily do that to Figueiredo, I think,
yeah.
truthfully. And so, like, when you see him at like plus 250, plus 260, that's like implied 27% that he wins. Like, if you think this fight is going to be just a phone booth, quick, this fight's over, whoever lands that shot first kind of swings the fight in their way. If they don't put that fighter out cold, the follow up is coming soon. You're telling me like 27% Cody
Mhm.
Garbrandt only wins that much of the time. I don't know, dude.
Yeah.
I don't know. I understand the underdog shot. I don't know if I'll get there, but yeah, just a fun fight that it should be fucking explosive.
I am going to have like a long shot parlay here where I combine like random things like a Cody Garbrandt KO and a like things that are all going to be like really high pluses and combine like 5 or 6 of them, put like $5 on it and just see what happens because like
Fuck it.
all these there's so many plausible things like Yuri and like Yuri by submission, I'm still waiting on that one. But
I
like
love that one. That's a crazy
yeah,
triangle, dude. Yeah.
yeah, it's a crazy one. But like, just a fun one. And this fight, like, yeah, dude, Cody has a chance. Would it be amazing if Cody pulls out the dance moves? And because he is a great showman when he's lighting a dude up and talking
Yeah,
shit in
man.
the octagon. It's so much fun to watch. He's making you miss and stuff, and he puts it on Davison Figueredo, and it's just done. They might just skip everyone and just go Cody Garbrandt for Sean O'Malley. Screw you, Marab. Go fight
Oh my,
Corey
no
Sandhagen.
way. No fucking
No, they
way. That
wouldn't
would
do
be
that, but
amazing,
that would be
honestly.
hilarious.
Yeah,
It
it
would be
would be. I
hilarious.
mean, I love Cody. How can you not like
Yeah.
a loyal guy, such a meathead, just
Yeah.
so you just not just not a lot going on in there, but God, yeah, he's a fighter and we love him.
He's awesome, man. He's
Yeah.
awesome. He's not like one of my favorite favorites, but I always gotta watch him when he's on.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. He's
But
must
yeah,
watch
dude.
because he's like something a finish is probably gonna come from either direction.
Yeah. And when he's on, dude, he just looks unbelievable.
Yeah.
It's crazy. But yeah, dude, that's the
Thanks.
card.
That's the card, man. Great talking with you. It'll be super
Yep.
fun talking about the fights, man, after they happen, dude.
Yeah.
Everyone, thanks for listening. Enjoy the fights and good luck with all your bets out there.
Yep. Yep.